Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm addressing yet another misleading claim made by Abdul Insan. This time, he claimed that the proper translation of Quran 9:31 should be, "They took their rabbis and monks as lords without or except Allah and the Messiah." This claim is false, contradictory, and completely misrepresents the Quran's consistent message. Let me explain why. Point 1. The Quran acknowledges that people worshipped Jesus, peace be upon him. First, the Quran repeatedly acknowledges that people worshipped Jesus, peace be upon him. For example, in Surah Al-Ma'idah 5:116, Allah directly addresses Isa, peace be upon him.
وَإِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ يَا عِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ أَأَنْتَ قُلْتَ لِلنَّاسِ اتَّخِذُونِي وَأُمِّيَ إِلَٰهَيْنِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ قَالَ سُبْحَانَكَ مَا يَكُونُ لِي أَنْ أَقُولَ مَا لَيْسَ لِي بِحَقٍّ إن كنت قلته فقد علمته تعلم ما في نفسي ولا أعلم ما في نفسك إنك أنت علام الغيوب.
How can anyone claim that this verse, 9:31, means without Allah and the Messiah, when the Quran itself repeatedly critiques the worship of Isa, peace be upon him, alongside Allah? Such a reading is absurd and shows a complete misunderstanding of the Quran. Point 2. Abdul Insan's sneaky tactics.
The fact is that Allah has said they have taken the rabbis and the monks as lords besides Allah and the Messiah. The very fact is that al-Masihah, it's not actually an Arabic word. It's a Hebrew word and they took it from Hebrew, right? That's why in the Quran you can only pronounce it as al-Masihah or al-Masihu. Just like Ibrahim. They can't say Ibrahimi, but they could say Ibrahimah or Ibrahimhu. So there's no world, no fucking universe where al-Masihah can say wal-Masihi. So when they say it has to be grammatically similar with Allahi, that's a stupid argument. And
Abdul Insan once again shows his sneaky tactics. He lied to his audience. He claimed that because the word al-Masih, the Messiah, is not Arabic in origin and comes from Hebrew, it cannot end with a kasra. But this is a lie. There are many examples in the noble Quran of this supposed rule being broken. For example, in Surah Hud 11:89, the names Nuh, Noah, and Lut, Lot, both end with a kasra in the same verse. Both of these names are of Hebrew origin, yet they end with kasras. This isn't even a one-time case. The exact same thing happens in Surah Al-Qamar 54:9 and 54:33. In the latter, the name Lut ends with a kasra, not even a double kasra, further proving this so-called rule doesn't exist.
وَيَا قَوْمِ لَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شِقَاقِي أَن يُصِيبَكُم مِّثْلُ مَا أَصَابَ قَوْمَ نُوحٍ أَوْ قَوْمَ هُودٍ أَوْ قَوْمَ صَالِحٍ وَمَا قَوْمُ لُوطٍ مِّنكُم بِبَعِيدٍ كذبت قبلهم قوم نوح فكذبوا عبدنا وقالوا مجنون وازدجر كذبت قوم لوط بالنذر.
So yes, Abdul Insan, the word al-Masih can and does need a kasra. Your rationale completely fails, and I suggest you actually read the Quran instead of getting your arguments from the internet. Point 3. Proper definitions of mandun.
they have taken the rabbis and the monks and the Messiah as lords besides Allah. It doesn't say that. The reason why they translated that way is because they're scared and they know. From the tafsir's point of view, they're just scared, right? When you say they have taken the rabbis and the monks as lords besides Allah and the Messiah, when it says besides, the real translation would be except or other than. So it'd be like they have taken their rabbis and their monks other than Allah and the Messiah, or except Allah and the Messiah.
The phrase mandun has multiple definitions according to classical Arabic dictionaries like Lisan al-Arab. Here are its primary meanings: ghair, other than; adna, lower; amam, in front; bila, without; siwa, besides. In this context, only two definitions make sense: besides Allah and the Messiah, lower than Allah and the Messiah. The first interpretation, but besides, is the most accurate as it aligns with the Quran's broader critique of associating partners with Allah. The second, lower than, still conveys the misguided beliefs of those being addressed. Point 4. Context matters. Let's also consider the context of this verse. The previous verse 9:30 says, the Jews say, Ezra is the son of Allah, while the Christians say, the Messiah is the son of Allah. Such are their baseless assertions, only parroting the words of earlier disbelievers. May Allah condemn them. How can they be deluded from the truth? This verse is clearly describing their beliefs. It would make absolutely no sense for the next verse, 9:31, to claim they took their rabbis and monks as lords without Allah and the Messiah. That interpretation contradicts both the immediate context and the Quran's consistent message. It doesn't matter if the letter wa is conjoining Allah and the Messiah, because this verse is describing the beliefs held by people. Conclusion. In summary, Abdul Insan has once again failed to grasp the Quran's language, context, and meaning. His claim about the translation of Quran 9:31 and his argument about kasras are both completely false. If you're going to critique the Quran, at least do so with honesty and basic comprehension. May Allah guide us all to the truth. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.